Sugar gliders have been described as flying squirrels, pocket possums, and rats. And while these descriptions might put the image of what a sugar glider is in a person's head, none of these are actually true. Sugar gliders are most well known for the membrane between their front and back paws, which is similar to flying squirrels. But these gliders hail from the Australia-Indonesia area. Sugar gliders are marsupials and carry their young in a pouch, so they're cousins with possums without the whole gliding part. And gliders don't need to chew in order to wear down their teeth like a rat or a squirrel would. In the wild, sugar gliders are considered to be colony animals, which means that they typically live in groups of 2 to 7. They live in trees and typically sleep together. They are foragers and eat almost anything they can find, from worms to plants to small birds. But they really like to use their long incisors to scrape off the bark of a tree and suck on the sap. They are nocturnal, which means that they are most active at night, and their big eyes are sensitive to light. There's a myth that sugar gliders are all from Australia, but recent research from earlier this year looked at DNA from a sample of sugar glider pets in the U.S. and suggested that most, if not all, sugar glider pets come from a specific population near Sorong, Indonesia. According to the Merck Veterinary Manual, sugar gliders didn't come to the United States as pets until 1994. So there's still a lot of research to be done about sugar gliders as pets. Diet especially is a large contention between sugar glider experts and owners.
Proper diet for a sugar glider is really important. If they don't get the proper nutrients they need, they can be in serious trouble health-wise and die, or have further lifelong complications like hind leg paralysis if they don't get the proper calcium intake they need. If you can get them on a proper diet like the Pet Glider Fresh diet or the BML, something that's adequate for them, then they won't smell. They won't have behavioral issues, they won't have health issues, and it saves you and the sugar gliders a lot of time, money, and frustration.
One major player in diet research, not only in the U.S. but worldwide, is Peggy Brewer. I had an exclusive interview with her over video chat. She owns a company called Critter Love that sells sugar glider food and other care items. She says it all started in 2003 when she got her first sugar glider.
I had a little store a little booth at the Texas Trade Center. I was doing wood burning. My husband is a fantastic woodworker, and he was making me trinket boxes, toy boxes, plaques, all this other sort of stuff. And I would wood burn art into those pieces and then sell them. And I had a couple come in and ask me if I could do a personalized nest box for their sugar gliders. And I looked at them and I said, "For your what?" And they said, for our sugar gliders. They explained to me what they were. I told them that I was interested in seeing what they look like. And the following weekend, they came to pick up their box. They brought up 2 little Joeys. And I absolutely just fell in love with them. And they said, "Well, do you want to trade?" I said, "Absolutely." It was the best trade I ever made. Ever since I was really young, I always wanted to be a veterinarian. Well, I was doing kind of like an internship with veterinarians years and years and years ago. And I discovered that there was no way that I could be a vet because I couldn't separate my feelings when it came time to euthanizing animals. I would cry along with the owners, and although it's okay to cry, you can't do it in front of the owners, and I couldn't stop myself. So I always knew I wanted to do something with animals. When I got into sugar gliders, I was lucky enough to find Dr. Tim Tristan early on, and I started asking him questions about the diet and stuff, and we started off with the original HPW is what it was called. We've since changed the name to Critter Love Original. And we were doing blood work and testing on my own personal gliders at that time. But it wasn't until 2010 when we actually met up with exotic animal nutritionists and knew different types of testing to do. And that's when it all really started taking place, 2010, because that's when we created the Critter Love Plus Breeders and Complete.
The Critter Love diet consists of raw honey, bee pollen, and eggs, which you mix with a vitamin powder and then add a Critter Love salad, which you can buy dehydrated online or find the recipe to make your own on the Critter Love website. There are a few other diets that sugar glider owners use. One created by the Pet Glider, which is acronymed TPG, and this diet calls for a person to make their own food using a recipe on their website and then sprinkle vitamins on top of their food. Another popular diet is called BML, which stands for Bourbon's Modified Leadbeater's Diet. Rumors in the sugar glider community attribute Taronga Zoo in Australia for creating this diet. But we reached out to Taronga Zoo, and zoo and wildlife nutritionist Michelle Shaw says she doesn't think it was developed at Taronga. A leadbeater's possum is a small animal that is closely related to a sugar glider, and Shaw believes the diet was originally developed to lure leadbeater's possums into traps, and the diet changed many times over the years since then. Taronga Zoo Sydney has cared for different types of gliders found in Australia for over 100 years, including sugar gliders. They currently have 2 sugar gliders, and they feed a variety of insects, insectivore mix, nectar, vegetables, greens, and native blossoms. In the U.S., the sugar glider community doesn't agree on what diet is best to feed. Diets that provide recipes are often criticized for having too many variables, and some studies have shown that the more options you give sugar glider owners, the more likely the diet is to be unbalanced.
It used to be that we would say feed vegetables and fruits in moderation and in variety. Through testing the blood work that we've done, we've learned that that's not always the case. I had 3 different groups tested, one in Wisconsin, one in Florida, and one in Tennessee. The group in Wisconsin and Florida both followed one of the salad plans that were written out by our exotic nutritionist. And the third group in Tennessee went ahead and fed a variety of different fruits and vegetables that she chose. Although her animals looked absolutely amazing and healthy, blood work showed that they were actually lacking in some nutrients. So the appearance doesn't always go with what the blood work says. You know, outside appearance doesn't always tell you what's going on the inside.
The balance of calcium and phosphorus in a sugar glider's diet is one of the major things that is taken into consideration when experts create or modify a diet. Another source of disagreement is the protein levels of a diet.
Sugar gliders need a very low amount of protein and very low amount of fat in their overall diet. Too much protein has and will cause kidney damage and failure. Too much fat in the diet will cause fatty liver disease. If you're feeding an unbalanced diet, that's going to cause discoloration of the whole entire coat, as well as obesity. A lot of people think that they need the same amount of protein that their wild ancestors do. What I say in that aspect, take an athletic person and take a couch potato. 2 humans, but they have totally different nutrient levels. So if they're not getting enough of something or they're getting too much of something, you never know what's taking place with the organs, you know, how it's affecting their kidneys, their liver, you know, their pancreas. You know, you never know what's taking place there.
Some things that people agree on is that the pits and seeds of fruit are poisonous, as well as chocolate, garlic, onions, and leeks. Avocados are too fatty to feed on a regular basis, and the pit and outside are also poisonous. Broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, and peas make sugar gliders gassy. Canned fruits and vegetables are not suitable for sugar gliders because of the added sugars, sodiums, and preservatives. An all-blended diet is not recommended for sugar gliders. Sugar gliders need something in their diet that they can munch on. According to the Merck Veterinary Manual, gum disease and tartar are a common occurrence in sugar gliders that are fed a soft diet. TPG and Critter Love both offer a pellet food to feed alongside the staple diet in order to cut down on that tartar. Often sugar gliders will suck on and chew on the food and then spit out what's left over. This especially happens with pellets and the skins of fruits and vegetables. Peggy says that one thing sugar glider owners should keep in mind is that sugar gliders don't clean their plate like a dog or a cat would.
They don't eat the insoluble fibers. So they'll say, oh, well, my glider is picky. No, your glider's not picky. It's an opportunistic eater. It'll eat anything that you put in front of it, basically. But they do eat different every night. Some nights they'll eat all their carrots. The next night they won't touch them. Some nights they'll eat everything off their plate, and the next night they won't touch them.
There are several different colors sugar gliders can come in. There's the standard gray, Black Beauty, which has darker markings and more black stripes. Melanistic, which is when most of the hair is black. White Face, which is a standard gray with less black markings around the face. Creamino, which is a creamy colored sugar glider with brown stripes and garnet eyes. Platinum, which is when the sugar glider has no black markings, only gray. Leucistic, which is all white with black eyes. Albino, which is all white with red eyes. And Mosaic, which is a combination of two colors, usually standard and leucistic. People often choose sugar gliders as pets because they're cute and because they form a strong bond with those that are around them, both other sugar gliders and owners. But that bond is something that takes time to cultivate.
Another misconception is you see it, you find a glider, whether it be online or someplace local, and you're going over to the breeder's house or the breeder's showing you videos, and this glider is just as sweet as can be, no crabbing, super nice. You get it home, and all of a sudden you have a crabby, lungy Joey, and you're thinking, what happened? I'm supposed to be able to love on it. That doesn't happen. You're removing it from everything that it's ever known as safety, and now it's in a place all by itself, away from mom and dad, and it's really scared. It's not that the breeder did anything wrong. It's not that it's overstressed from the travel. It's just that it got moved, and now it's afraid, and it'll take a little bit of time, love, and patience and consistency to build that bond with them. I try to tell all my clients, like, yeah, he's super sweet here. Do not expect that when you get him home.
And once you form that bond, it can be hard for the sugar glider if you decide to give it away later. Sugar gliders typically live to be between 9 and 12 years old. Anyone who decides to take up the responsibility of owning a sugar glider should expect to keep the sugar glider for its entire lifetime. Sugar glider breeder Dominique Leach takes in rehome, surrender, and rescue sugar gliders.
Sometimes it can be hard taking in a rescue or a surrender because they don't always make it. They come to us sometimes very sick, and the vets can't help them because they're so far along. We do the best we can and try and make their stay here as comfortable and loving as possible, and if they don't make it, then it's hard. It's because you get attached, and it's rough.
At the time of visiting Dominique, she had one surrender named Remy who had his foot amputated.
He came with a partner. They were in 2 separate cages their whole lives. They never interacted. The partner sadly did pass away of old age. He was about 9 years old. Remy's still hanging in there. He needs a little bit of extra help. He has that missing limb that I'm still leery about. It may or may not cause him pain, but we'll see what the vet says. He's a sweetheart. He needs the right people. He still nips a little bit, but it's nothing compared to what he was when we got him. He's taking a complete turnaround for the better.
Because sugar gliders are colony animals in the wild, a common belief in the sugar glider community is that gliders must at least be bought in pairs.
People think that they're absolutely not allowed to have a single sugar glider because it will either die or self-mutilate. First of all, sugar gliders will only self-mutilate if they're in pain. They don't self-mutilate because they're lonely. They may overgroom. Some veterinarians will call that a type of self-mutilation, but in the sugar glider community, we refer self-mutilation to the glider actually tearing itself open. And if that ever happens, get them into the vet right away, because more than likely they have either a parasitic issue going on or they have a bacterial issue. The over-grooming can be due to stress, boredom, or even hormones, overactive hormones. So check all 3 of those things, get a wellness check done, and then go from there. But having a single sugar glider, if you have the proper cage, if you have mind-stimulating toys, things that they can actually interact with their little hands and try to take the bracelets off or forage or something, and you give them the proper amount of time, you can have a sugar glider live by itself for 15 years, just like you can having a pair. The studies in Australia have actually shown that they had found several nests that contained single sugar gliders, throughout a couple of seasons. So it's not like it only happens, that they're always in colonies. I don't want people to think that, they're doing bad by their glider, or their glider's going to die because it's living alone, because that's not the case. And besides that, every single glider I've ever sold, 6 months later, they always come back for another one. They're like potato chips.
Sugar gliders require a large cage that they can jump around in, a wheel, toys, and nesting pouches to sleep in. Each sugar glider likes different types of toys. Some sugar gliders like toys that they can chew on, while some like toys to hide in, toys to climb, forage, or items to move.
Fabric items need to be either cotton, flannel, or fleece. When they're sewn, you should not be able to stick a toothpick under any exposed threads. Any item that has an exposed thread that a toothpick can squeeze under, a toe or a nail could possibly slip under. That can cause a broken toe, loss of a toenail, or even a possible foot amputation if something were to get infected or broken. Try to stay away from metal, because metal just rusts as soon as they urinate on it. Bird toys, I try to stay away from anything with colored dyes, because you don't know if that dye is actually safe for them to ingest since they chew on it. Anything that they can't get their head stuck in, small round openings that are smaller than 2 inches should not be left unattended with them. If they get their head stuck in, they can't get out, they thrash around, they could possibly break their neck.
Gliders bark, similar to a dog. When they're upset or scared, they make a noise called crabbing, which sounds similar to a cicada. They can also hiss, and when they're particularly happy or eating something that they enjoy, they'll chirp. Since sugar gliders are not domesticated animals, owners should expect the animals to use the bathroom wherever they want, including an arm or a shoulder. Sugar gliders cannot be potty trained, and they can bite pretty hard if they feel threatened. Routine care includes trimming the sugar glider's nails, cleaning the cage, and washing any fabric in the cage. Sugar gliders require checkups at the vet at least twice a year. And that's all about sugar gliders. If you want to learn more about exotic pets, check out the other episodes in this series by going to the Only on WBLY.com tab on our website. For WBLY.com, I'm Shayla Klein in Morgantown.